If you've been to one of our events before, you know every year we like to do a little bit of recognition for those in cybersecurity, city by city, region by region, that are having an outsized impact on cybersecurity locally. So this is, there's local polling that we do. Sometimes our team scouts, like this would be an amazing addition to our conference. We'd love to have them. Sometimes you're locally nominated by a peer anonymously and may not know. So, but for those of you that have the yellow lanyards as our honorees, we thank you for being here and thank you for all you do for cybersecurity here in the Northwest in Seattle. So I call your name. We have a token of our appreciation. So we have a little certificate and a little special something for you inside. So as I call your name, please stand up. We'll give a little round of applause for everyone, and our team will make sure that these get out to you. And we have a very long tree. We should almost have a red carpet to walk. How long this room is. So without further ado, our first honoree for recognition is Jian Wong, Evergreen Treatment Services Information Security Officer. Cheers. We have Joe Welsh, the Director of IT for Seattle Sounders FC. Woo. Joshua Golke from the... excuse my voice, Joshua Goncharov from the Boeing Company, Information Systems Security Officer. Very good. That's all right. Christian Ochoa from Morrow Equipment Company, CIO. Here in spirit. Marshall Freiberger from Washington State University, Director of IT. All right. Ow! We have Michael Klepper from Boeing. Michael Klepper. Pranay Mehta from Headspace, Senior Security and Compliance Analyst. Very good. Seth Pham from Costco, Security Engineer. Seth? Very right. Stein Wang, also from Costco, Security Engineer. Got the Costco tape party of 3 or 4 over there. Tim Mendenhall from the City of Bellevue, Cybersecurity Operations Lead. I'm not sure. We'll say it once again here in spirit. Tristan Ingold from Meta, Security Program Manager. I know. Cybersecurity never takes a break, right? Sometimes we gotta go. Craig Idem, the Seattle Times, VP of Information Technology. We know the news cycle certainly never takes a break. So. Right. David Elfering from Carrick's, Chief Information Security Officer, our fabulous keynote speaker from today. I actually think David had to head out early, but a round of applause for an amazing keynote session he left us with. And this brings me to my very esteemed panel of not just amazing leaders in cybersecurity, but also some world-class presentation skills and presenters as well. So first up, Cynthia Damian from Valon, a Chief Information Security Officer. Marc Menninger from J&D Legal Administration, the Director of Information Security. Boris Goncharov from Amatas, the Chief Security Officer, my lord. Terry Williams, Open Door Community Health Center's Chief Information Officer. And last, but especially if you know Tony, certainly not least, Tony North from King County, Senior Manager of IT Service, and our moderator for this panel. So Tony, the next, until 5 o'clock is yours. Another hand for our panel as I hand it over, Securing the Future, CISO Insights and Industry Leaders discussing current cyber threats and strategic defense practices. Woo.
Round of applause for the FutureCon folks setting this all up for us. I'm going to get this mic kind of organized. By the way, how's everybody doing this afternoon? Okay, you heard a lot of speakers, you heard a lot of information. Right now, this session is for you, okay? So let me just kind of tell you the format so everybody's aware. I've already shared with the speakers the format, and so after we get done with the format, then I'm going to have them introduce themselves. Good, they've got microphones already. We are professionals. And as part of that, what will happen is we're going to have some questions about these areas. But we're really here, most importantly, for you. Our goal is to find any question that you may have that you don't know and you want to have somebody share it. No, not every question, okay. We'll filter it. And so just know we'll have some questions that we'll start out with, but the whole idea is to kind of get you thinking, and hopefully over a few minutes, you'll have questions to ask the panelists, because that's actually why we're here, to help you. Now, let's start with our first panelist here on the right and have Terry introduce himself, and we'll go down the line.
Check. Hi, I am Terry Williams. I'm the CIO for Open Door Community Health Center. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marc Menninger. I'm the Director of Information Security at J&D Legal Administration.
Okay, I'm Boris Goncharov. I'm not Russian, so don't run away. I'm a Chief Strategy Officer at Amatas. It's a company based in Europe and US, so I come from far away from Europe, so I'm looking forward to the discussion. Thank you. Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Cynthia Damian. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at a fintech company called Valon, based out of New York City.
All right, you guys ready? That was our warm-up. Okay, here we go. All right, we're going to talk about, first of all, understanding the threat landscape. And the first question I'm actually going to have everybody answer, just to kind of get you guys warmed up and thinking about things. What are the most significant cyber threats organizations face today? And we'll start with you, Terry.
Well, being in the healthcare industry, what I'm seeing right now, which we're facing, is more of a AI cyber attacks. You know, more of a cloning who my CEO is, or possible past employees. Example of this, which happened to us, actually just happened just not too long ago. The owner of the company, who started the company, has left and gone on. We got a email of someone trying to say, hey, give us the credit card. I am this person because we are trying to do something else. Please send me the email. Please send me your credit card information. The email looked very legit. It looked like it was this person's writing, but the only thing is, this person passed away 2 years ago. So had I not had the information and not knowing that this person is no longer there, that was a serious threat that could have happened to us. But this was all done by AI, of actually cloning who this person may have been. So that's one of the things that I found.
Yeah, Marc, what about you? What do you think? What do you think?
So as far as significant cyber attacks, you know, it makes me think about our keynote speaker today talking about the fundamentals. And, you know, we still have the classic types of cyber attacks that are still relevant and prevalent. We just had a great presentation at our last ISACA chapter meeting from the Assistant Director of Information Security at the Seattle, the Port of Seattle. And she related the cyber attack that they went through last summer, and it was a ransomware attack. It's, you know, just the classic ransomware attack. But it took down the Port of Seattle for weeks. So, you know, the cyber threats that are out there are still relevant to us as far as the classic types of attacks like ransomware. And so it doesn't necessarily need to be AI-based. We still need to think about, you know, protecting from the typical types of attacks like ransomware.
Right. Yeah. Excellent, Marc. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to just pick up from here. In the last year, we investigated a lot of attacks on various companies across the globe. So I'm not talking about only US, I'm talking about Europe, Africa, Saudi Arabia, and other countries. And what I see is happening is, well, classic ransomware attack, classic, just, that's not the problem really. What we had is triple extortion attack type of scenarios. And this is kind of the most, I think, profitable business for the bad guys. So we've been negotiating with a lot of groups that are active currently across the globe. Most of them are based in, let's say, on the east, and coming from Russia, for example. And we see a huge spike of groups, maybe funded, maybe not. Really depends on that, who is sitting behind that, but very professional. They are very well prepared to handle different victims. The language they use is also very professional, very straight to the point. They know all about companies they are attacking. They know all their financials. They know how much money they want. They know all their infrastructure. They understand in depth how the organization functions. They are inside of the network almost on any level possible. And during this negotiation, we had some funny stories to share. Funny, it's not the right word for that. But for example, one of these companies wanted to bring up the website that was taken down, encrypted. And they say, we needed to ask permissions from them to do it because they had the full control over everything inside of the company. And they say, okay, you can go ahead and turn it on. We give you a permission to do it. Because otherwise the company is going to stop existing, basically, in the public space. A lot of incidents involved exactly this type of attacks. What is triple extortion, just to clarify? First of all, you go into the network, you steal all the data you can find. Secondly, you encrypt everything. And thirdly, you attack all the related parties to this company as well, through their network. So, and if they don't pay you, they go and they start to, extort their customers, partners, and anybody else. That's a triple extortion attack. And most companies are paying. I'm not sure what you hear or what you see, but most companies are paying because they go out of business very easily. One of these owners told me, listen, I cannot even close the company. Do you understand me? I have to pay. I don't have any access to any data of my company anymore. So it was so bad. And what people forget about these scenarios is that they think they are prepared. They are not prepared. No company is prepared to face this kind of attacks. Because we have policies, procedures, and everything, but when this happens, it's completely different from what you expect to be. It's not about technicalities that much. It's about how people are affected by this. Because people have this idea of abstraction, what company is. It's not about that. It's about people experiencing horrible scenarios with these attacks. And it's really very devastating for a lot of people inside of the company. And they go through hell, even sometimes in months, to recover from that. So you believe you're protected? No, you're not. These people are far much better equipped to attack you and to compromise you, especially with the tension we have coming from Russia to the West. They are well-funded, well-equipped with technology, very professional, and they can do a very good job. So my message is that now things are far much worse than it used to be because we have also, a lot of resources injected in these groups, which they can use every day to hack, especially Western-based companies, for any kind of reason. So. Sorry about the long, answer, but
You're doing good. You're doing good.
I just wanted to share our experience, but it's horrible, and it's just gonna get worse. Don't worry about it.
Nothing to worry about.
Just because it's a tough topic, right?
Exactly, and not to be a Debbie Downer, but to tie all those things together. So
That's right.
I will say it's definitely a mix of AI in helping unsophisticated attackers be sophisticated. What I mean is you'll see AI attacks carried through ransomware as a service. That's definitely a new thing where companies are getting hit from every which way. It doesn't have to be a really sophisticated group doing it. It could be anyone that gets their hands on it. So that's to that point about AI, and it doesn't only enable the business, obviously we heard that earlier too, it enables attackers to carry these things out. I'll say with that said, cloud security, so I'll kind of go into that a little bit. So in terms of these types of attacks, a lot of attackers, especially with everyone moving towards the cloud infrastructure as a service, whether you're using Azure, AWS, or GCP, a lot of times, right, like ransomware attackers, they know that you're going to have backups, daily backups, you're going to have high resilience, you're going to have, various locations, and you can pick your backups back up. So instead, just like Boris was saying, it's not necessarily a crypto ransom or like encrypting your spaces, because you can always pick your backup back up again, but it really is about extortion. So it's like, how much is your company willing to, again, trust an attacker, right? It's like, well, for me personally, and not to say this is everyone's cup of tea, but they have your information. How much are you going to trust the attacker to say, oh, we'll give it back to you? We're not going to release it on the dark web as long as you pay us, like zero chance of that. So, so that's part of it. And then also operating the cloud, the second thing that's top of mind for me, especially because my company is very cloud first, right? We operate everything in the cloud, nothing on-prem. Is NHI, or non-human identities. So we focus a lot on end users, your regular employees, you have multi-factor authentication in place, but you forget about those APIs, those service accounts, those tokens that are sitting out there. They might be in the clear, sitting in your repositories, and you don't know about it because you forget about it. So, and many attacks have happened because not just because they're trying to brute force, or, a lot of times, obviously, social engineering is still a thing, but it's those really stagnant accounts that are out there because you don't really think about it, and obviously with a lot of like integrations, APIs, into a cloud environment, that's definitely a concern that we've been working through at my company as well.
And just to
please, Marc.
tag on the ransomware as a service point, the Port of Seattle suspected that their ransomware attack was ransomware as a service. So think about that. This is a service that you don't have to conduct the ransomware yourself. You hire somebody to ransomware somebody else, and then you might get the proceeds if they pay off the ransom. So that's another aspect of the threat landscape where it's like, you don't have to be sophisticated at all. You outsource your attack to somebody else.
Can I add to this as well?
That's right.
So it's even worse than that, actually.
We knew this was going
If
to
you
happen.
thought it was bad now.
Land, by the
Listen,
way.
I'm coming from Eastern Europe. We are, darkness, sorry about that. So we live in darkness all the time. So no, listen, the other people that don't know probably is that when you go and you want to become affiliated to these groups, the business model is excellent. It's even better than a lot of other legitimate businesses. You have a good customer support. We have a feedback forms. You have a rating system. So do you enjoy our ransomware? Yes, very much. You have 5-star reviews. I'm not kidding. They have very well-defined levels of service. So 10%, you can run 10% or whatever percentage you like. So there are different levels. So it's a well-designed and running business. And it works like that. If, let's say, you want to buy drugs from dark web, they also have customer support. They have feedback. This was excellent drug. Thank you very much. That's right. This is economy which lives in the shadows. It's even more powerful than our economies joined. There was an estimate recently that the cost of cybercrime, it's $16.3 trillion US. This is the third largest economy after US, China. The third biggest economy in the world is cybercrime. That speaks a lot of what we are facing. So again, don't worry, it's getting worse.
Yeah. So this is a heavy topic. Did everybody bring a drink with you, by the way? Because we want to make sure to lighten the mood. Hey, I also want to ask everybody in the audience, just let's ask you guys real quick. How many of you work at a company that has been hit with cyber crimes? Raise your hand.
Nobody.
Okay, that's over half the room, right? So these are things that you guys face. So let me ask a question before we get started. As we talk, listen, you heckler. As we get started, if you do have a question, we're going to get a microphone to you just so we can make sure the online audience can hear the question. So far, any questions from what you heard so far? Okay, you guys are still drinking. I see what's going on. Okay, so, okay, yeah.
You brought up I heard Port of Seattle brought up twice already.
Yeah.
And if I remember back to that article.
Oh, yeah, he's got a mic.
Microphone. Okay. I forgot.
So yeah, I heard Port of Seattle brought up twice already and their
Yeah.
breach this last summer. And if I remember correctly, after that breach, there was an interview with someone at the port. And they quoted saying that they're fast-tracking some remediation tools, which translates to, yeah, somebody proposed this and it didn't get funded and we got hacked and now we're doing it now.
Yeah.
Now, the Port of Seattle is a government agency working with taxpayer dollars. So you guys as CISOs, you see something that needs to be remediated, but somebody above you says no or there's no funding. How do you comment on that?
So that's why you need a risk register. You need to raise the risk. You need to elevate the risk to the organization, to the executives, to the board. And if they say no, they can't say when they get hit that, oh, you never told me about this risk, right? So your job as a security leader is to identify the risks and raise the risk, communicate the risk to the organization, and let them decide. And if they come back and they say, I'm not going to fund that, then you track that and say, on this date, I told you about this risk, and you said we're not going to fund it. And when it happens,
Do you take no for an answer, though? Do you
so
really push it?
you can build the case. You can say, this is the remediation. This is how we fix it. And if they say, well, we're not going to fund that, then you track that. And so that way, it's not something. You don't want to be in a situation where something bad happens to the organization, and you knew that it could be a possibility, but you didn't raise the risk to the executives or to the board because that's your fault. But if you raise the risk and they know about it and they decide not to do something about it, that's on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will definitely add to that because I have to do a lot of board reporting, executive reporting, et cetera. So,
Fun stuff.
Always fun, right? So, exactly to Marc's point, so our job in security, we are risk advisors. We are letting them know what we see from our expertise. To that point, sometimes it doesn't go to the right level. But a lot of times, if a company has, board reporting, cyber is usually a topic of discussion. It's also how you communicate it. Not to say I don't speak for Port of Seattle or anything. I'm just speaking from experience. It's like you have to be able to speak in terms they understand. It's like if everything's red, nothing's a priority. They're just going to see you as the sky is falling person, and that you have this pretty heat map in front of them. I think we even heard from the speaker earlier. I've also had to go through that too. But it's being able to articulate why it matters, especially in my industry. So again, we're kind of fintech, mortgage tech, 2023 to 2024. We got hit a ton, the industry. Luckily, our company did not. But to that point, it's being able to relay that back to the business. Hey, look, larger financial institutions got hit really hard, and guess what? Some of them are our partners. Right, so it's being able to have that resonate with them. So as much as you're reporting, and again, to Marc's point, making sure that's getting to the right level who make the decisions on it, our job is to advise them of that, but also our job is to communicate it in a way that they understand.
Yeah. And that's actually an important thing, how they understand it, right? What you share.
Yeah. So on that as well, as to what they both have said, it all comes back to the dollar bill. of showing them, if you do not do this, this is your potential loss. And when you're dealing with those up there in those higher executive levels, it's all about numbers for them. And how is it going to affect my company? Do I have to shut it down? Or if I do shut it down, but as well, look at the publicity as to how it's going to affect us as well too. So when you're framing it, keeping what they both said in mind, but also tie it back to a number. Usually gets their attention.
Okay.
Just to add to
Boris?
that, my observation is we, as a cybersecurity people, are horrible in explaining this to the business. We suck, let's face it. I mean, we are, not everybody, of course, not you great guys here. I mean, don't get me
Everybody
great.
outside
You're
of
just
this room
great
is talking
here, so I'm not talking to you. So I'm saying that a lot of people are just going there in the boardroom, start talking like, when you, let's say you've been IT or something, and then you go try to explain a complex, some kind of a topic to a person without any knowledge. He glazes over. After 3 seconds, he doesn't hear anything. He just, another IT guy come here to explain his stuff. I don't want to listen. I don't want to learn stuff like that. So that's the same. But we are really very incapable, I would like to say, that explaining this to the business. That's what I like about what Terry said. Of course, it's a number game, but if you go like that, this is going to cost that much budget, that much, and whatever. It's not going to do the job. Also, what I think is happening is that risk management frameworks are very outdated, and the way we are presenting this is very outdated. We have to kind of try to fight for continuous risk awareness, and not doing a assessment on this. If I see another heat map, I'm going to kill myself, probably. They've been with us so many years now. They're completely useless, if you ask me. Nobody's actually believing in that. You cannot tell me that just looking at Excel sheet with some, and people that are do risk assessment, they know what I'm talking about. I can create for every company which you are, the perfect risk assessment without knowing who you are, what you do, and what your company is. And it's going to look perfect. That's not risk management. This is just a kind of a game of appearances. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a kind of something hard question that we ask ourselves: how to change the mindset of our executives and to change the mindset of people that are trying to do this. I don't think we should play this game anymore. We are in the front of something that is really difficult to handle, and we're using old tools and old approaches to handle that. So, but this is a long story, so I don't want to take all the time.
Lavina, did you have a question? Okay. Sir, did you have a question? Okay, hold on a second. We're going to get a mic to you real quick.
Hi. I wanted to ask a question about something that you mentioned about targeted attacks and how we as risk advisors need to advise clients on what to do next. And I'd like to sort of get some input on this from you all, on if you've seen, after something like, let's say, a business email compromise, an increase of targeting towards maybe your clients or your users, right? And what the impact of spreading awareness towards that, like for that risk, for the organization has been like. Because with what you guys were saying earlier, sure, once we recognize the risk is there and we try to spread awareness, that's one facet of it. But I think there's another component of this where with the risk, the people managing the company from the top layer, from the top brass down, do not care about this risk or do not have a good way of spreading that awareness. Is it going to be effective to protect the organization more so than just covering your butt when something goes wrong?
Right, instead of CYA. You want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always advocated for transparency with your customers and your partners. Knowledge sharing, again, whether that's cross-industry, again, or to the people that you're serving, is super important. That also shows the integrity of your company and how much you care about trust and safety of their information. So as an example of we see a lot of scams in the financial services industry going on. So I think it is the company's job, and again, it's part of whether that's the risk officer or security officer articulating that to leadership. And at the end of the day, it comes down to we want to demonstrate to the people that we're serving that we care about what's going on. So we're going to keep informing them, right? A lot of times these awareness, communication efforts it's not a lot of overhead to do, honestly, to send out a blast, you have your communications team look at it. But I think arming your own customers with that information, or even partners, right? Hey, we're seeing this in the industry. Are you seeing this too? We're gonna, send out some communications or bulletins about it. Goes a long way. People will appreciate it more. And again, it's like very small in terms of dollar amount, where it's gonna be, I guess I would be more curious as to why a senior leader would not advocate for communication versus not, especially if, again, that doesn't cost too much and it goes a long way for trust.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And in the cases in which you have, for example, the worst case scenario, a company is compromised, right? And I always get that situation in which the executives are sitting in the room and say, listen, what are we going to say? And I say everything. Be completely open, because listen, everybody knows. And the mindset should be, if they don't know, they will know tomorrow. So everybody will know that you've been compromised. You cannot hide that, possibly. There is no way in this world that you're gonna say, oh, nothing happened to me. No. Everybody will know. And they will appreciate if you're completely honest with your customers and partners and everything else. If you try to hide everything, so, oh no, try to kind of go around it, try to word it differently, it has the opposite effect on your business all the time. So my advice to people that, again, being compromised, go and say openly what happened. Don't be stupid, of course, but say it in a way that is actually meaningful and open, because everybody will know. And, it's like being naked on the street, so what
Anybody,
can
has that
possibly
happened
go
to
wrong
anybody?
more than that? I mean, just...
I'm going to add to that too. And I will say, if you look at just companies that have been breached and executives that have been very accountable, transparent to their customer base, have been super positive. Even as much as millions of their customers got impacted, they applauded those executives just because they're very transparent. And so I know, again, in the financial services industry, there's been a ton that, at least as security professionals, you can tell if it's some kind of ransomware or really bad attack, if their systems go down for days. And they're like, oh, we don't think anything is compromised. We're all good over here. Nothing to see. It's like smoke and mirrors, but something is going on. Mm-hmm. And then 2 weeks later, you hear everything because they have to disclose it. Yeah. How much trust are you going to have in them to be transparent with you? So I think and to that point, I will play that devil's advocate too, where you're sitting on the side of having to communicate. I understand you want to have the facts right. But at the point where, hey, you've cleared it with all due diligence teams, legal teams, this is we got our facts straight, then give as much of the facts as you're able to give to your customer base, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, and to
Marc,
Cynthia's point about reaching out to other organizations in your community and seeing what's going on with them, that's where ISACs can be helpful. These are information sharing organizations in your industry. So if you're in healthcare, there's a healthcare ISAC, there's a financial ISAC. And so these ISACs can help you stay in tune with what's going on in your industry, and you can reach out to them and ask, are you seeing this? So that's something worth considering.
That's great. Terry, do you want to?
To what Cynthia was saying too, the thing is, I just look at it as communicate. Even even to the point, if you don't know it all, but at least as long as you're saying something, that gains the trust. So, that gains the trust of your users, of your people. So when you do come, it's not going to be as bad as it would have been had you not communicated to them. And then boom, here you are. My system's going to be down for the next 3 weeks, 5 weeks or whatever it is. If you would have just said it front, we're investigating. We know that there's something going on. We don't know what it is right now. And in the end, it's okay to say, I don't know. So keep that in mind. But let them know that you are investigating and you will bring something back to them at that specific time, but be on time when you do it as well.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, are you guys still awake out there? Can we hear you? Call out. Say hello. Everybody say hello.
Hello.
All right, listen, I was in the Marine Corps, so you got to speak louder than that. Hello.
Hello.
All right, good. They're still awake, you guys. Okay, here we go. That's actually a good point. Everything on that question. Everybody, just think in your company today. Do you actually provide this training that enables all the employees to understand all these different type of threats? And here's the question. Is it a requirement in your company? Raise your hand. Is it a requirement in your company? Okay, see, because that's one of the ways that you can get the awareness out about these things. So far, any other questions? Any questions from what we've shared so far? Okay, you guys are answering all the questions too well. Okay, so let's go on to the modern defense strategies. Let's talk about strategies here. So what modern defense strategies are proving most effective against today's attacks? And we'll just, Terry, we're going to pick on you. You're standing next to me. You're sitting next to me. So come on.
Gosh, just don't use a computer. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Back to 1970. Hold on a second.
Yeah, just don't plug into the internet. What I'm finding, being a CIO and being in the healthcare industry, is just hate to go back to this again, is that we're using AI tools to help us stay in front of what's there. Being able to understand what's happening, looking at the at the anomalies that's actually happening, and just having those tools in front of us to help us fight against what could be coming. But more than anything else, educating our users and making sure that they understand what's their part in this whole thing as well, and helping them work with this has been a very good help for me.
Modern defense strategies.
Yes. It's a great question.
Have you heard of Wiz? No. Yeah. So like this whole event today, we had tons of providers, vendors, sponsors, and that's what they had, is the modern defense solutions that you can take advantage of. And it's only getting more advanced with AI. Of course, you talk to all the vendors out there, they all have AI baked in, but it does help in the sense that it can help automate and orchestrate the way that you handle and review information. So Wiz being an example of cloud protections and defense, that will help bubble up and I'm not selling Wiz, by the way. I've used it.
You work for Wiz, right?
But they should give me a T-shirt or something. But it will help bubble up the actual incidents and issues that you need to see quickly in order to address them. And this is a modern new technology. Wiz has only been around for 4 years, so there are solutions out there, and it's a matter of figuring out what is most effective in your organization and how to utilize it without getting overwhelmed with tools that you're not using. So that's part of the role that you're in as a security leader is, do we have too many tools? Is there overlap? And how do we use these tools effectively?
Excellent. All right, Marc. Boris, what do you think?
Oh, good luck with that.
Okay.
Listen, well, the market is so fragmented, cybersecurity market, I mean. And it's almost impossible for organizations to get their head around this problem. If you have a product-oriented thinking, and this is kind of an eternal search for the Holy Grail, basically. I'm going to buy this tool, and everything will be fine. Or a bunch of tools is going to be fine. That's a wrong way of addressing the problem, because the problem cannot be solved by buying stuff, unfortunately for a lot of people. Fortunately for me, because I also sell products, for example. But I'm on the other side of the fence, sort of. Also, the other problem is cybersecurity poverty line, which is a big problem for mid-sized companies, especially. Because if you try to calculate how much tools you need to buy for what price, you're not going to buy them because you have to close your company. That's the problem. And cybersecurity poverty line, it's a big deal because now the prices of these solutions are increasing. Companies don't have enough money to spend on that. And this is a big struggle, I think, that we need to address properly. So modern strategy, it's about convergence. It's about smartly using everything you have. Maybe it's not necessarily a product, but even sometimes how your Active Directory is set up, and how it's protected, and so on and so forth. So you don't have to rush and go and buy stuff. Try to make a good use of what you have as tools, because let's face it, it's a multifaceted problem that needs to be tackled from many possible angles, and there are millions of strategies to kind of tackle this, not just doing this, and that. There is no unique recipe to fix your security. It doesn't exist. So that's modern strategy is about being smart with what you have, and also making sure that you use things that are providing multi-type of functionalities. For example, the most critical example, this is the evolution of CM systems being and managed detection response and whatever. Now they start to kind of compile and bring together different things from different products back then. So that's where the industry is heading to, combining all these things in one box. But this makes it more expensive, and have a vendor lock-in and some other things. So it's not, there is no solution. There is only trade-off. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's great. And that is one of the issues that we've had in IT for a long time, which is we just buy another tool for this. We don't extend the existing tool as opposed to add. Can we add something else?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that kind of, hearing all of that kind of reminds me of kind of back to anytime I'm coming into a new company, it's like nailing the basics. Do we have all the basics? Even as manual, painful, whatever as it is, you don't have all the fancy tools to do it. Are you doing the very basic things of a fundamental security practice, right? I know to that point, compliance doesn't equal security, security doesn't equal compliance. We always hear that, but compliance is a good starting point to say, for these things that are expected of us, cross-industry, cross-framework, cross-regulatory agency, whatever it is, do we have the basics in place? If we don't, that's obviously when tools come into play. What I will say too, so I've been at larger organizations. I've been at Salesforce, T-Mobile, Twitter, Starbucks, doing security risk there. And I am now at a fintech startup. Very, very different when it comes to budget and trying to scale a team for a highly regulated, high-risk industry. With that said, we're also trying to be innovative. Back to AI. There's a lot of open, AI tools that are out there, open source tools. Sometimes that can be a little scary, but if you know how to do it safely, vet your tools, you can even find everything from vulnerability scanning externally to, there's a pen test GPT that I was looking at the other day. There's a lot of things that you can use at your fingertips for small shops to at least get started before you go on, with these kind of bigger tools just as your company grows. Shout out to the vendors. I know that they're here to sell those tools.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
they're
right. Thank
great
you,
people.
vendors.
We actually use a lot of their products that are here today. But like when you're starting, you have to start with what you have first, with the resources you have.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, the modern solution, or the defending yourself against the modern attacks, it still boils down to the fundamentals, and you'd layer the tools on top of that. So
That's right.
Yeah.
We make ourselves a little bit more complex. Hello? Hello? Okay, listen, I know you guys are excited, but I just want to make sure you're still there. Okay, any questions so far? Yeah, we're going to bring in a microphone to you right now.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Just a question. So I was at a cyber insurance net diligence conference yesterday, and one of the chaps made an interesting point. Cyber insurance is like the last backstop, and you're talking about modern defense strategies here. He said something along the lines of, the industry is too focused on prevention tools, and they need to focus more on detection and response. Because if you think of it like a house, the detection's the ADT alarm system. The response is, I guess in America, the alarm goes off, you go grab your gun and find the burglar or whatever. Do you think that's the case right now in the cybersecurity industry? And if so, how are you guys going to counteract that and change the way people see things?
All right, who wants to tackle that one?
Okay.
Boris. Tackle it. Will you tackle it?
I'm going to tackle it. Listen, prevention is outdated concept in security. We should not think of prevention. Sorry, I'm saying that. Maybe it sounds strange. This is lost cause. It doesn't work. It's not going to work because there are too many things you want to prevent from happening. It's not possible to get control over this. You're not going to be able to succeed. And you go overboard with money, resources, and eventually you're going to be compromised anyway. So the modern paradigm in security is incident response. Be ready, be resilient. Even if something happens to you, you know what to do, you know how to restore back, you know how to bounce back, you know how to run your company, even if this happens. So this is the modern paradigm of security, that's for sure. So being ready is better approach than just try to prevent everything from happening. It's simply not, it's not practical, it's not going to work. Your resources are going to be overstretched. So that's what we see everywhere. So that's for sure. I believe it's the case.
Definitely completely agree with Boris. So what I will say, so to his point, like prevention is still important. You still have to have all your exit. Yeah, exactly. And I said, to that point, super important. But what is the higher risk is how you respond, which brings me into like incident response, right? So we have all these detection and response tooling that come into play. But I think one of the things that we've been hearing a lot about and seeing out to that point of ransomware, it's like the reason, and I completely agree that response is so important. It's just the whole like, it's not if but when. You at some point may be hit at your organization. How well are you prepared for that to happen? How well are your executives down to your tactical security and IT teams ready to respond to that? So that's where even beyond, I'll say, yes, detection response tools, super important. We all have all of them in place, super important to be continuously monitoring. But when that thing hits, how quickly are you able to identify, contain it, and then really start, obviously a lot of remediation from there. So a lot of what we see, and we've heard a talk a couple of days ago, not to bring up Port of Seattle again, but there's a lot of learnings, a lot of learnings from their ransomware attack. But it's so true because every company I've been at, like, you have this really pretty 25-page incident response plan. Who pulls that up? And we do tabletops. Everyone does tabletops at least annually, right?
That's right.
And you're trying to do tabletop in certain scenarios, and who's actually pulling up that 25-page doc, going line by line to see if we actually follow that or not. In a real incident, that does not happen. You are thinking quickly, like who's going to do what? What are the roles and responsibilities? Who do we need to notify? Who are our response teams even externally? Legal, PR, incident response, forensics teams, if you don't have that in-house type of a thing. And so response goes a long way, where we even heard having a very succinct response plan. Like you can have your pretty 25-page thing, but you need to have something ready that everyone understands. Everywhere from your CEO knows their responsibility and can pull that up. If your network is down, your computers are down, cannot access that, sorry, old school printed thing at your desk or at home with a call tree, what your roles and responsibilities are, but also on your phone. That's one thing too that we've also been employing where I'm at. It's like, how likely is that going to happen that we can't access that stuff online? Oh, it's very likely just from the things we've been seeing. So response goes a long way, even the old school way of things to that point.
Also to that, I follow a phrase which I call 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And to everything that Cynthia just said is along with that. You're not going to follow that 25-page, whatever it is. It's go time. You're not thinking about, okay, is the computer on or whatever it is, nothing like that. It's what's the problem? Does everybody know what they're supposed to do? Because if you have everybody prepared ahead of time, if you practice this stuff, because that's a key component of it as well. Because what we do, we have these things, we may create it once, but we never put it into play. We never reenact it. We never test it. But it's a real life thing that could happen. And if we don't do it, so when that time comes, you're going to fail. You're going to fall on your face. But if you do practice it, just like how I know many of you do a recovery test with your data at times just to make sure that the data is recovering correct? Sure, certainly. Okay, yeah, you do. Good. All right, glad to hear that then. But this is the same thing as well, too. You have to go back to the basics, stick with the basics, and making sure that everybody knows their role as to what they're doing.
Yeah, and okay, just real quick on Cynthia's point about the incident response plan and the Port of Seattle. So they said.
Pick on them today.
So at the presentation, she was saying they had that 25-page incident response plan, didn't use it. I mean, not that it's useless. It's like in the moment you have to react. And so she said that they would have been better off with simple cheat sheets, like note cards, custom for the teams that are across the organization to know exactly who to call, what they need to do, step by step by step. And that way it's not just some big plan that nobody's really going to pull up. This is your card. This is what you follow if there's an incident.
That's right. By the way, as always, these sessions go super fast. So, hello? Okay, see, look, that was a great one. Now we're at the end and you do it? What's going on here? I just want to ask one question. Was this helpful? Yes. Okay, and why was it helpful?
It's relatable.
It's relatable. Okay. Are these all the things that we're all kind of facing? Okay. All right. I want to give a round of applause to the folks who gave us the advice today. Okay. Yes. Stand up. Yes, stand up. And as everybody is online, feel free to reach out, get some extra help. I know these guys have helped me a lot. Most importantly, we're all in this room right here together. Let's reach out and help each other, right? We're trying to accomplish the same thing. You already all said that these questions help all of us. Well, get together with everybody in this room and let's help each other elevate and be better prepared, and as you heard, remediate as a priority. Thank you very much for this panel and time.
Everybody, let's give it up for Tony as well, too. He did a great job.